push your freaking button already. What's up, everybody? It's Friday. Oh my god, I'm freaking out. It's Friday. Oh my god, I can't believe it. I can't believe that it's Friday. It's blowing my mind. Oh my god, guys, it's the 17th of December, which means that it's Friday, and I can't believe it. I'm gonna lose my brain cells. Oh. Yeah, what's up, guys? How you doing? Is it Friday? Hey, Casual Friday. What's up, dudes? How you doing? Stay chill, man. Don't freak out. Don't freak out, okay? don't open the show screaming and yelling, people will freak out and they'll click off and they won't subscribe and they won't be a fan anymore and they'll get super mad. Ugh. Okay. It is what it is. Speaking of people not being a fan anymore. Oh, I'm going to have to update this. First off, guys, we have to remove this. Remove that. Then we have to remove the nice. The number's not so nice anymore, folks. I'm sorry to break the news to you. Somebody is no longer a member. And now we're down to 68, which means we're going backwards. We're going down, down, down in the numbers. You know what I'm saying? You know, if you talk about your political views, you'll lose subscribers. If you talk about not your political views, you'll lose subscribers. If you talk about fish tanks, you'll lose subscribers. If you talk about nuclear war, you'll lose subscribers. If you do whatever, you'll lose subscribers. It doesn't matter what you do. You just have to make 45-second long content so that the TikTok fans will follow your YouTube channel into oblivion. Yeah, what's up, everybody? It's Friday. The Patreon number is 150 because it's not auto-updating, but some people left there too, but I don't have an accurate number. It's not updating. But sorry to see those guys leave. Bye-bye. But we are getting closer to the 10. We are getting closer to the number 10. And then I'm going to give away. The channel. Yep. Voera says, rest in peace, the dream. That's right. The dream shall rest in peace. But I will tell you guys, I wanted to tell you guys, the people that are here at the beginning of the show, and I know that some people are going to watch the replay because the analytics tell me so. The robot overlord of Google gives me the information and says, hey, people watch this after the fact. If you're watching this after the fact, this message might not be for you. But I'm going to tell you guys, the people that are here at the beginning of the show, what it is that I'm doing around here. Like, what is it that I'm doing around here? I know that there's been some confusion as to what's going on. I know that some people have sent me emails. They said, I heard you talk about on the live stream, you have other YouTube channels. Uh-huh. This channel that I've had here, I've had this channel for, in January it'll be like 14 years. I think that's how the math works. 14 or 13 years. I'm not sure. I initially had this channel as my user channel. Like, I just would get on and I would watch YouTube videos. I started making, and I put in heavy air quotes, making YouTube videos because they aren't even really videos. It's literally just video content that you could watch. It's not a produced thing. I started making those videos because I used to be on what is called a forum, and if you're not old enough, you might not know what a forum is. It's the internet, but text-based would be the easy way to explain it. And people will be like, who is this guy? Why is he trying to help people with their aquariums? What's the deal? So I started making videos that are just literally the worst videos you've ever seen. Just showing people like, hey, here's all the aquariums that I work on, right? Here's all these aquariums that I work on. Now, I never intended to be somebody who was making videos. I never intended to be somebody who was making videos for the YouTube crowd, even though I had been involved in making what you would have considered to be classic YouTube type content. I used to be involved in a group of people that were adjacent, very far adjacent to the Jackass crowd. We used to make Jackass-style videos and stuff like that a long, long time ago, 20-something years ago. I was also involved in a bunch of weird artistic projects in the past, but when I got into YouTube, I wasn't planning on making YouTube-style videos. That wasn't the plan. I literally was just posting content to show people on forums and have a place to direct people to go and go like, here's my aquariums. If you think I'm if you think I'm full of it, here's my aquariums. This is what my super crappy apartment looks like, filled with aquariums. This is what I do, blah, blah, blah. Right? After a few years of uploading stuff like that, I said, wait a minute. There's a lot of successful people out there that are uploading content. So I was like, oh, I should upload lots of content too. I never really got into it because I worked 60, 70, 80 hours a week, was always very busy. So I tried to make one-off content. I tried to make the type of video where it's like, I don't have to edit anything. I can just literally film for the next 15 minutes, explaining what it is that I'm working on, the thing that I'm doing, and upload that. Some of it did well, some of it did not. Who knows what the robots wanted? I may never know at the time. When a few years of that had gone by, I was beginning to get a little bit frustrated with the content that I was putting out. So I spent some money. I built a new computer. I bought a camera instead of basically what people would think that it's people would think it's like a cell phone now, but the cell phones back then couldn't really record video, but it was an iPod. The iPods had come out with a camera on them, and it worked pretty well for making just filming stuff, and you didn't really know how to do anything. But being a poor person, I couldn't really buy the camera that I wanted to, so I bought a cheap camera, a point-and-shoot camera. Then I bought another point-and-shoot camera that was pretty cheap. Then I bought another camera because I was trying to basically make better videos. I was trying to figure out how to make better videos, find out what was going on. So then I started watching videos about how to make videos and go like, wow, this is really wild. There's a lot of stuff that you got to do. There's a ton of crap that you got to do. And I talked to a lot of people that I know that make video content and films and stuff like that. They work on sets and they do all this kind of stuff. And I was able to kind of start getting an idea of what I needed to do. Oh, you need to mic stuff. Oh, you need to do sound. Okay, I used to do sound stuff back when I was in college days. I remember, okay, so I know a lot of that. Okay, so I need to blah, 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 and I need to blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I'm starting to work on that stuff. Then I got to a point where things were kind of going fairly well. And they when it came time that YouTube was monetizing YouTube channels, at the time, I got an email from YouTube. It wasn't the other way around. I didn't need to ask for monetization. YouTube emailed me and said, "Hey, we want to monetize your channel so we can play commercials on it." And I went, "Cool, who cares?" Right? Then after my channel got monetized, some time went by and you realized like, wait, you might be able to make money off of this. Okay. Now, everybody back then, the way to make money off of YouTube was to start selling stuff. Nowadays you would look at it and you would go like, oh, people are selling NFTs, people are selling T-shirts, people are selling merch, they're selling this, they're selling that. And I was like, well, I don't really want to get involved in like selling stuff to people. I don't want to be a retail guy. I don't want to do this and I don't want to do that. And I certainly don't want to sell like knockoff stuff or any of these like redirect websites. Back then was really scary bad business, right? I didn't want to get involved in any of that kind of stuff. So I just continued to work. I continued to go to work and do the work thing and do this thing on the side. Fast forward a few years. After fast forwarding a few years, I got to a point where I was like, this could be a job, but I don't have the traction in order for it to be a job. At the time, I was still continuing to not edit things very much. I wasn't doing editing. I wasn't, doing any of that kind of stuff. And the reality was that you're not going to get a big payoff if you're not really doing very much work at work, right? It doesn't really matter what your job is. I think most people can understand that, like, if you're not doing a lot of work at work, you're probably not going to be promoted and doing better and making more money and blah, 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 right? Well, that's basically what was happening with YouTube, that I was trying to do stuff, but I didn't know where to put my energy in, and I was still kind of stubbornly in the past of going, idiots do a kickflip on their skateboard, fall off, crack their face open, 5 million views, there you go. Obviously, anybody could get traction. Anybody could get anything going. The reality at the time is that there were a few YouTube channels that were doing aquarium stuff, and they got a lot of exposure from it. And I was like, well, if those guys could do it, I could do it too. Cool, blah, blah, blah. But in all honesty, if I go back and look at that content, you realize, like, I was just not putting in the effort to make it solid, right? It just wasn't going to be a solid thing. Fast forward a couple years from there, and I started working with Corey from Aquarium Co-op. We started doing the Real Fish Talk. We started making videos. We started doing stuff. I started doing stuff for Corey, right? My channel kind of blew up for a little while because it was being promoted by Corey, and that's basically how my sub count went up. If you go back and look at like Social Blade and stuff, you can figure out when that was. I'm going up by like 2, 3, 5,000 subscribers a month, and then it drops off because I was basically no longer being like promoted, artificially is kind of the wrong word, but I wasn't being promoted by my own following or whatnot. I was being promoted by an external source, which is fine, and I appreciate Corey for all of that. I've never been upset about that or any of that stuff. But at that point in time, I started to assess, like, oh, maybe I could really do YouTube full-time because I'm getting promoted. These things are going. Like, maybe I can get the growth going. Let me make a lot of videos. And through that period of time, I really made a lot of videos. I was putting out on average at least 2 videos a week, along with live streams, along with being on other live streams, along with making an attempt to like network with people and blah 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 and that kind of stuff. That stuff became very discouraging as you start to know other people around that you never knew in person, but once you start to meet them in person, you fly around the country and you go meet these people, and you start to realize, like, a lot of these people are not who they portray on YouTube because they are self-appointedly acting. They are acting like somebody when they are on screen, which is incredibly crazy to meet somebody who basically has their name on everything. They're presenting themselves as themselves. But then when you meet them in person, you realize, like, wait, they're acting like themselves, but it's the person that they think will be more attractive to viewership, right? Which to me is very odd, because like, why don't you just act like an imaginary character and just present yourself as that imaginary character? Like a perfect example of that in the YouTube community would be that Blippi guy, right? I don't know if you have a kid, if you've ever seen Blippi, like, that's not the dude. He's literally playing Blippi, right? You know, and it's one of those things where you come to that realization and you go like, oh, okay, I'd rather not have contact with a lot of those people because they're not even what you thought they were. Okay, I'm just going to go back to hanging out with the friends and people that I know that are good people. Like Corey is a perfect example of, you know, that's a guy that what you see is what you get. That's the dude. That's the guy. That's who he is, like, walking around. You're like, all right. And I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that. I feel like if you're going to go on TV and act like something else, then just present yourself that way. It's simple. It's not, you know, nobody thinks that the Blippi guy is actually like Blippi all the time when he's walking around. Fast forward a little bit from there, kind of start doing some of my own thing, start trying to like branch out and figure out like what it is that I'm wanting to do. Realize like, oh, I still probably got to travel. I still probably got to do this. I want to make this content. I want to make that content. I want to make all sorts of stuff, right? Then we encountered the beginning of 2020. So I, assuming at the beginning of 2020, I go, this is what our viewership's like. This is how much support we're getting. This is what's going on. We can continue to kind of like rock and roll and deal with this and move forward. And I can plan on working, you know, the exclusive like hourly positions and stuff like that a couple days a week. And I can work on YouTube the other couple days a week. We get hit with a pandemic, global pandemic. Everybody's dealing with it. No one is not dealing with it. Let's put it that way. So I am not unique in the situation. Everybody's dealing with it. And it's a reality. It's a reality that we're all dealing with. We lost a lot of the support for this channel. A lot of it. A lot of it went by the wayside. And I wholeheartedly understand why most people had to walk away and go pay extra bills or do whatever it is that they got to do, deal with this pandemic. Or maybe they just want to go do something else. That's fine. Totally understandable. Over this time period, I have been making an assessment of the things that I've been working on as far as the YouTube channel goes since 2008 to where I am right now, and going, what the hell is it that I want to do, right? And I've come to the conclusion, I've been working on it the last year, the stuff that I want to work on, and just simply having this one YouTube channel is probably not going to encompass all of the things that I want to work on. But I clearly want to also work on this YouTube channel. I also want to do the aquarium content that I like to work on. The aquariums are a big focus of my life. It's something that I want to work on, and I will continue to work on, and I will probably continue to make videos about them. Whether or not I'm going to put them out on this channel or not is sort of irrelevant, because I will always pass on to you guys if I'm putting aquarium content out there that you need to know about. I'm always going to pass that message on to this channel. But herein lies the problem. If I do an electrical video, for instance, and I put it up on this channel, I get punished for it. I get punished for it. You guys get punished for it. We all get punished for it, because it's most likely not content that you guys want to see. Nobody wants to see me on here wiring outlet boxes. And by the way, before people start leaving the content, or not the content, the comment that you do want to see me do wiring projects on here, I understand individual anecdotal responses that say, I would like to see you do electrical stuff. Cool. That's irrelevant to what this conversation is. If you happen to have electrical interest also, and happen to have fish tank interests also, when Google analyzes people's responses to stuff, it does not take into account your like human response. All it does is take the metrics into account and just no longer even tells you that I've uploaded a video and stuff like that. And I'm sure you've experienced it with lots of channels that you have followed for years, and then they've popped up in your periphery somehow and gone like, oh my God, they've uploaded 200 videos and I haven't seen any of those because I just, that none of them showed up in my feed, right? Although I do get inundated with Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, and Jimmy Myers, and Jimmy late night TV show. Those will constantly be in my feed because all of those TV stations pay for them to show up in the feed. So Alyssa has the question here, but like electrical content on the electrical channel, that makes perfect sense. Exactly. That's the thing. So people go like, oh, I heard you launched other YouTube channels and whatnot. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you guys because you guys will end up subscribing just the same way that like Aquarium Co-op fans subscribed to my channel because they like Corey. Do you understand? They may have interest in this channel, but they do not have interest in the content that I do on this channel. You see what I'm saying? And the robot algorithm doesn't care that they signed up because they like somebody that I associate with. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm getting at? So if I muddy the water of going, hey, my current fish fam following, whatever you guys want to call yourselves, if I say, hey guys, check out this channel, and it turns out it's a woodworking video, and only 10% of you guys that like woodworking, but the whole group of you go subscribe over there, and only 10 or 5% of you like watching that content, it immediately ruins that channel. It immediately muddies the subscriber base and the interaction that it's getting, because a bunch of the people now have multiple interests that misalign with that channel, right? So what I have to do is make that channel, upload some content to it, and see how it does. And if it does poorly, I basically have to just delete it and start over again until it can actually get promoted into a group of people that can give it traction and have it get going. Now, one of the things that you have to do on YouTube nowadays is be generally falsely exciting, I guess, would be one thing. You have to be inflammatory in some way. You have to encourage people to be upset and pissed off and this and that and the other thing, right? So how do I make content that can get out there to people that will engage with them, but it doesn't have to necessarily be a full-on criticism of something? That's what I've been kind of working on and trying to engage with, trying to figure out the craft of building the narrative of a story within the ability of me being able to do that, right? So one of the things is very interesting that you have to do in order to do that is write a script, figure out what it's going to be about, work out the plot points in order to have a beginning and a middle and an end. And that's a really easy way to explain that. It's a very simplified way of explaining that, right? But that's basically what I've been like working on and trying to sort out and figure out how to put that content together, build that content, and also the big problem that I have right now is figuring out how to get the time to work on these projects. Today is a perfect example of I had set aside 4 hours for this morning to work on script writing. Then I was supposed to do the live stream after noon from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., right? Then the last 2 hours out of the day, I was supposed to work on some of the house projects here so I can sell this house so that we can buy a new property that has a bigger fish room already built. So I don't have to build foundation, power, plumbing, water, roof, blah, 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 all that kind of crap. I can find a place that already has a pre-built shop that I can adapt into the new fish building, new fish room, fish house, fish barn, fish room, fish gallery, fish, whatever the hell you want to call it, fish box with roof, right? Whatever you want to call that space. We want to buy a property that has one built because I was going to build one, but once we started to figure out the budgetary limits of what we could do here, it was not going to be beneficial to do that. Also, I drive really far for work. You guys can look up Tacoma, Washington on Google. Doesn't matter. Just look up Tacoma, Washington, and look up Aquarium Co-op in Edmonds. And map out that drive right now and tell me how long the drive is. Let me see. I'm going to look it up. Tacoma, to Aquarium Co-op Edmonds. On maps. Here we go. Right now, there is no traffic. Right now, there is no traffic, and it will be 1 hour and 6 minutes to get to Edmonds Aquarium Co-op, the store. I live further than this thing here. Let me move it to where my house is ish. 1 hour and 22 minutes right now. If is it saying to go? Hold on. It might be saying to go on 405. No, it's not saying to go on 405. Okay. So if I leave right now, it will take me 1 hour and 22 minutes to drive to the store Aquarium Co-op, which is 20 miles closer than the warehouse. Okay? There's no traffic right now. It's 55 miles. Yes. Although you are in, I don't know, you're in Australia, right? 55 miles to KM. Which is that? 90 kilometers. So 90 kilometers, right? The main source of my income is working for the Aquarium Co-op. I like working for the Aquarium Co-op for many reasons. They're an awesome company. A, they take care of their employees. B, they have quality products. C, everyone that works there is rad. D, whatever else, blah, blah, blah. The list goes on and on. I like working for them. I want to continue working for them. I like the projects that I get put on there. They're difficult, often very difficult, very challenging, but also aquarium related. And I get to learn more, and I get to learn about stuff that I probably wouldn't have the time or ability to be working on if I was working for some different company. So I do want to continue working there. I have no plans on not working there anymore. And by the way, somebody got pretty pissed at me the other day because I mentioned this, and I'm going to mention it again. If I stop doing YouTube, I'm going to keep working at Aquarium Co-op. I would rather stop doing YouTube and keep working at Aquarium Co-op than the other way around. At this point, if suddenly there's 5,000 members on this channel and I go, holy crap, I don't need to work outside of my house, I can just work on this YouTube channel, I would go, okay. And I imagine that anybody else out there would make the exact same assessment that I just made. If you're finding yourself being really successful with the thing that you're doing, you will probably want to continue to do it. Success will encourage the same behavior. It's called positive reinforcement. If your dog poops in the yard and you give him a cookie, right? They will continue to poop outside instead of pooping inside. It's positive reinforcement. It's the most basic thing you've ever experienced, right? And if I was getting positive reinforcement for doing the YouTube channel, I would continue to put my energy in here. Now, having made that statement, I have been saving money to try and get time off of work so that I could work on projects for this YouTube channel. Every time I miss work, every time there's a part broken on my truck, every time I encounter whatever crazy bills I got to deal with, it puts me back. It puts me back. It puts me back. I was looking at my business account the other day, and I realized, like, I thought I was farther ahead, and I had completely forgotten about blowing out the tires on the truck. I'd completely forgotten about blowing the water pump out of the truck. I still need to do some repairs on that truck, which I'm avoiding doing. I realized, like, how much that cost, and was like, oh crap, that put me back like 3 months from what I thought I was going to be at right now, which is fine, and I'm not upset by that. It's a fact of life, and it's something that you got to deal with, and I'm going to continue to deal with it. But that's where we're at right now, is going like, how can I get time off? Now, the reason I bring that up, we got Christmas in 1 week. I am not going to skip Christmas for anything. Because of this little human right here, I'm not skipping Christmas, and I don't think anybody out there should or should have to. But because of whatever you want to call this pandemic, we're likely going to miss Christmas because this one has contracted COVID. My daughter caught COVID, and it's a bummer. She's doing fine. She has a bit of a cough. She's sick, but that means that the pandemic virus is now entered the building. That means this next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever you want to call it, is completely up in the air. When I miss days at work, that puts me back not a day. It doesn't put me back 2 days. It puts me back a month worth of savings. Because at this point in time right now, the equivalent of missing a day or 2 days like that puts me back to where I was at a month before, because I got to take that money and I got to put it over there and make sure that that stuff's paid, which is fine. Like I said, I understand where we're at here. It is a bummer that Olivia caught the virus that's going around. I bet you this video is probably demonetized because I said COVID or I put pandemic in the title or whatever. It's probably demonetized now. There's probably nothing I can do about that. But I also want people to know some of the stuff that's going on. My daughter caught a virus, which is totally normal for kids to do. She caught a virus at a daycare where other parents that go there are refusing to get tested or find out what's going on and continue to drop their kids off when they're sick and then have to be sent back home. It is a bizarre thing when, when when you are the way I am, and I go, my community is wildly important, right? And community is super important to me. The community that I live in, I love all the people here. I hope you guys understand that. I love the people around here. I love people. I'm on team people, right? But when other people within the community are refusing to pay attention or be a part of the community, right? it is extraordinarily discouraging when you hop on neighbor apps and things like that, and you realize that a portion of the community is spoiling it for everybody else. A good example of that is you got to go to the hardware store. You got a bunch of people at the hardware. There's giant signs on the door at the hardware store. There's free masks at the hardware store. There's hand sanitizer. There's signs everywhere. And you would have to be a space alien at this point to walk around in the hardware store without a damn mask on in the middle of a fucking pandemic, right? Because you read some bullshit on the internet, okay? It's crazy. We're in the middle of 20% of the population thinks that they know everything, right? And the other 80% of the population is just trying to do the right thing for being a sane person, right? Of just going, hey, there's stuff coming out of my mouth when I start flapping my yap at Lowe's or Home Depot or Menards or whatever place you're at. Cover your damn mouth. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to sit down and figure out that, like, you know what? My parents always told me to wash my hands when I was a kid. I wonder why they were always just getting on me about washing my hands. My parents are weird. Right? It's because your germs, the viruses, the stuff, it gets on your hands because in America, you can't stop eating for 5 minutes with your hands, right? And then you go into a store and you touch everything and you get your germs and all over everything, right? How many times you go to the bathroom in public and you see people coming out of the stall and just walk out the door because they don't want to wash their hands? They don't want to be bothered, right? I've seen it thousands of times. Disgusting, worse than pig humans wandering out of the bathroom because they can't wash their hands. They can't be bothered right now. I'm too busy. I got to get to McDonald's right now. I got to get to McDonald's right now with my poop-covered hand. I can't even wash my hands, guys. I'm sorry. But you try to go to the hardware store because you got to buy a P-trap for your sink in your house because it broke for some reason. This is made out of plastic. Why? It's welcome to the 21st century. And there's got to be people there, like, all indignant, like, you guys are wearing a mask. What, are you scared? What, are you, a sheep? What are you scared, sheep? I read something on Facebook. I'm just out here booming out. Now I got to miss weeks because people are refusing to take the simplest, like, preventative measures, right? You got morons, like self-appointed morons. By the way, if I call Joe Rogan a moron, he calls himself a moron. So I'm literally just calling him what he calls himself, right? It's not even an insult because he calls himself that, right? That gets sick because he won't get a vaccination because he doesn't know what's in the vaccination. Oh, okay. Do you know what's in monoclonal antibodies? Do you know all of the chemicals and crazy process that it takes to make monoclonal antibodies? I bet you he doesn't. He doesn't even know what's in a damn vaccine, right? But he's willing to take monoclonal antibodies, which have crazy side effects. Insane side effects, all sorts of crazy stuff in them. Monoclonal antibodies, this isn't the first time they've ever been introduced. They've been around for other stuff for a long time. There's all sorts of crazy stuff in there. You get crazy reactions to them, crazy allergic reactions, all sorts of chemical reactions, all sorts of stuff that happen to people. They are administered by a doctor because you literally have to be present to make sure that the person that gets them isn't going to just keel over dead, right? That idiot will go out and take all of those drugs, ivermectin, monoclonal antibodies, all sorts of other crap that he took because he caught this virus, but they can't take a simple vaccine that would be a preventative measure to spreading a virus around. And yet here we are, almost 2 years. Oh, it's almost 2 years. It's like 20 months later, right? 20 months later, Vicky's got to take her vacation early because we have to keep an eye on our daughter because she can't go back to daycare, right? Because of these anti-vax idiots and morons listening to Joe Rogan, people that turn on Tucker Carlson when they come home and listen to him. Why? I'm going to ask questions on Fox News. I'm just going to ask a question. What are they going to do next? Are they going to put a microchip in your brain? Ugh. And here we are, right? So if I could explain my frustration, if I could explain why I'm a little bit pissed off, if I could explain why I'm a little bit discouraged as to where I'm at right now, one of the things that I put in the title here is The Wheel of Time, okay? The Wheel of Time is a new series on Amazon. Would I recommend you to watch it? Sure, it's pretty fun. There's wizards, there's good guys, there's bad guys, stuff going on, right? I would highly recommend people to read the books. Now, one of the things that I've been working on is analyzing the Wheel of Time show that has come out. Now, to most of you out there, you go, what's the Wheel of Time? I don't know what that is. I don't know what's going on. I just heard about it the other day. It's a thing I just heard about. This is a book series that started coming out in the year 1990, okay? Now, I understand a lot of people that watch YouTube videos and stuff like that don't even remember the year 1990, which is fine. I understand. At the time, I was 10 years old, and I liked reading books. I liked playing soccer. I liked rock climbing. I liked water skiing. I liked snow skiing. I liked a lot of stuff. But one of the things that I like to do was read some books. And the reason for that, the main reason for that, was that my parents, we used to go on these road trips all the time, where I'd have to sit in the car for like 3 or 4 hours to go to the places we used to go to. I don't even want to tell you guys where we were going. It would take us like 3 hours to 4 hours to drive there. Now, in 1990, there were no cell phones, there were no iPads, there were no, there was nothing. There was AM radio because the FM radio, when you drove too far, the FM radio was no longer in range. So my dad would listen to AM radio, okay? And if you've ever listened to AM radio, it will most likely encourage you to drive directly off of a cliff because it is one of the worst things ever invented by human beings. So, some people would say, could you just listen to your Walkman? And when I say Walkman, do you guys even know what I'm talking about? Back in the day, back in 1990, a thing called CDs, compact discs. Those were the wave of the future. Those were extraordinarily expensive. Kids didn't get those. What we got were called cassette tapes. They were actually, it's like a microfilm wound up in, you don't even know what I'm talking about. Doesn't matter. Those machines back then to listen to music, which you got your headphones, you know what headphones are. You know what music is. It's a device that played music. Those devices only ran off of batteries. Now, you might think, oh, my Tesla battery totally rips, bro. My Tesla battery's out here just ripping it up. How many kilowatts I got in my Tesla battery? Okay, cool. But back then, you got a AAA battery, and they sucked. So you would put a AAA battery, set of them. You take two AAA batteries, AA batteries, sorry. Take two AA batteries, you'd put them in your Walkman, and you would listen to music for a couple of hours, and your Walkman would die because the battery sucked. And when you went to the store to buy more batteries, they were more expensive than the batteries cost now. Okay? Imagine that. Was it inflation's fault? I don't know. Was it inflation's fault? Right? I don't know. Was it inflation? Could have been inflation. Who knows? the batteries are more expensive, and as a young kid, you don't really have a ton of money to go spend on buckets of batteries, right? You can't go out there and you can't buy a whole bucket's worth of batteries because you don't have any money. So even if you wanted to, you couldn't. So, you know what doesn't run out of batteries? A bunch of pieces of paper with words on them stapled together. It's called a book. You may or may not know what a book is. It might be confusing. It might be totally confusing to you. You'd be like, oh my God, what is a book? And I'd be like,
Today's show is brought to you by, in part by Amazon. We are an affiliate, so buy a whole bunch of stuff through this affiliate link because it's Christmas and you know you're going to buy it off of Amazon anyhow. So just go buy it through that, and hopefully we get a commission. Our total commission this month is $23. So to those of you out there that are wondering if I make $1 billion off of Amazon, it would take a lot more than how much people are ordering through our affiliate links to get to that number. So, moving right along. One of the types of books that I really enjoyed reading was long format novels, right? Long format novels, and one of the reasons for that was there's a ton of world building, and if you understand what world building is already, I'm going to bore you for a second, but world building is all of the stuff that goes on and all of the rules and things for what is happening in the world that you're reading about. That's world building. Like, how many countries are there in this world? Are they democracies? Are they theocracies? Are they oligarchies? What are they? Oh my God, right? What are these things that are happening all around the world? One of the reasons I like long format stuff is it has a lot of building to all of those things. And the Wheel of Time series is... I almost said something really bad. I'm not going to say that. It's extraordinarily full of all of that stuff to the maximum. It has the maximum amount of that. The entirety of this series, somebody did the math on it, is 4.4 million words. Once you read the whole thing, you will have read 4.4 million words. Oh, somebody joined the voice chat, but they left. I don't know where they went. The phone lines are open. If you want to call in and tell me I'm an idiot, feel free. Yeah. So, David Torres, what temp do you keep your tank at? Fresh water. All my tanks are at different temperatures, considering what critters live in them, from a range of 68 degrees to at most 90 degrees, depending on who lives in there. Yeah. So, to my point, what I've been talking about the whole time here has been that the Wheel of Time series is epic. It's huge. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot written down, and there's a lot of... If you have a question about what is going on in that universe, it's written down in the books. There's no like, hey, what happened at this part? We don't know. They just fast forwarded. That doesn't exist in these books. The color of the collar on the shirt when the guy was doing a thing. It's in there. It's in there. It's very descriptive. And I, like a lot of people out there, like the 9 million people, Wheel of Time. Hold on. I got to double check these numbers here. 90 million copies of these, So 90 million copies of these books have been sold, right? So if you get an idea of like how many books that is, that's 90 million books. A lot of people have enjoyed this story. 90 million books have been sold. Every single book was a bestseller when it came out. It reached the bestseller list. So this is an epic tale that has sold extraordinarily well, and the Amazon brought to you by Jeff Bezos, aka Daddy Warbucks weirdo $500 million boat guy, rocket ship, phallic rocket ship, right? Guy decided to buy the rights of these books to make the TV show, right? $10 million an episode. $10 million an episode, and they have consistently rewritten the story all over the place. Now, I have gone on tirades about this, and I'm recording and writing and doing a bunch of stuff to create a channel exclusively that's going to exclusively talk trash about how Amazon sucks by ruining a beloved story to me, right? And I realize that all of the work that I've been doing for the last 14 years, the evolution that I've been going through and all of that stuff has not brought me to the point where I want to make content of just yelling at Amazon for being stupid and ruining characters and ruining stories that I really like. I realize that I want to be able to work on the content that I want to work on and be able to make things that I want to make, right? And I'm in the middle right now. I'm in the middle of a dearth, a slog, a whatever you want to call it, of ability to spend time working on those things. Admittedly, I've been on here for an hour right now, running my mouth and being super kind of pissed off about all sorts of stuff that's going on, like my kid catching COVID. My shrimp are breeding everywhere nonstop, which, by the way, is a good problem. That is not a bad problem, but that's one of the other problems that I have posted up there. But that's where I'm at right now. Alyssa's not even here today because of the COVID scare, and it's not even a COVID scare. It's just a confirmed COVID. That's not a COVID scare. It's just confirmed. Like, here's the positive test result. I went to get tested again today. We'll see what happens tomorrow. If I go onto the community tab and just post an F-bomb in there, you guys will know my test result. But we'll see what happens. I continue to get tested, continue to social distance. I continue to wear a mask. Like, is it annoying to wear a mask? Sure. But you know, like, it's also not that big of a deal. I'm gonna unmute myself in the chat here so I can let one of our callers bust in, because it is Alyssa herself, regular co-host of the show here on Fridays, who is not she's muted. So we'll just wait for her. I thought she was gonna unmute like super quick, but it didn't happen. Paula says, I'm super pissed about COVID too. Yeah, me too. I'm frustrated. I'm you know, like, how many people I know that are just like, yeah, and just acting like an idiot. And the reality is, it's like, those are the people that are continuing to fuel this, like, right along. And, you know, the problem is that it's not one individual person. It's a part of the community that continues to spread this around. And, you know, there's people like Olivia are have the expectation for the adults to protect them. But turns out other adults at the daycare where she has to go to, they just don't give they probably don't even care about themselves. So why would they care about anybody else? What's up, Alyssa? What's going on, dude?
Not too much. I've been listening to you rant and finally getting around to tearing down the ceiling, not tiles, the wall board or whatever that they put up in
Yeah.
on the ceiling in my basement.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's one of those things. Like like this was potentially one of the weekends that we could have come out and started to work on your basement, and now I can't. And I just
Yeah,
don't even know.
but it's, I guess it just sort of gives a little bit more time for me to actually get around to doing the things that.
Well, the funny thing is that like I was going, oh hey, I could probably get the boys out there on Sunday, and we could get some stuff ripped out, and we could get some things fixed in your basement and get it done. Because, and what's even funny is that like because even the Seahawks game was moved, right, from Sunday to Tuesday, so it's like, oh, even if I wanted to stay home and like watch the Seahawks game or something, it's like, but the game was already moved, but it was moved because of COVID. So you're like, what the you can't even win some for losing, right? Or we can't lose some for winning, or whatever the hell that statement is. I don't know how that saying goes. I'm not a million years old. I'm a half a million years old. I'm sorry.
Something like that, and I'm just a little tiny bit younger than that. I got to tell you though, I got tarps, and I put them over the tanks that would have been affected by the ceiling coming down around them, and that was a good call because one of those pieces of ceiling would have gone right into a fish tank. I saw it and I go, oh no! But instead, they just got a little bit of tarp.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah. I mean, you always got to tape and put up some plastic and stuff like that if you got other objects in the room,
For sure, yeah. And
it's like the old adage is that like visqueen is cheap.
Yes.
A
lot cheaper
a roll
than
of visqueen at the Home Depot is like $20 or $25 or wherever the hell it is. But like when you get paint on somebody's couch, you're out, whatever, $2,000 to like replace somebody's couch or something. It's like, hey, dude, could have thrown down some plastic there, chief.
Right. Absolutely. And yeah. I don't know. I not knowing whether I was going to use these tarps long term, I shelled out the extra for the woven nylon tarps with the holes pre-punched in them and stuff.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, these are going to last until they don't.
Right. It's true. I mean, that's just kind of how it goes, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
What else is happening? How the fish breeding? Are they making fish babies? What's going on over there? I can't hear anything. I can't hear anything in the background. I can't hear if they're making babies in the background or not.
Oh, good. You can't hear all the bubbling and stuff?
No.
Oh, good. Because I moved back. Okay, good.
Bubbling.
They're just kind of growing. I haven't noticed any new clutches of eggs in the last week or so. I've just got some babies that are growing right now. And looks like some of my snow whites are actually getting to be old enough where I can say I think that you might be a female actually.
Yeah.
And that's exciting because I've been waiting and waiting and waiting. I've got a wait list of people who want some. I'm like, well, you guys gotta wait because they ain't gonna grow that much faster. There's only so much I can do.
Yeah, it's always funny when people are like, "Hey, I want to buy 100 shrimp from you right now," and it's like, I what? I'm not a store. What's happening right now? I mean, dude, I could try, but I don't know what's going on. And then it's you get another email I need 50 shrimp. I need 25. I need 50. I need 100. It's dude, I don't have 300 shrimp right now. I don't know what's going on. I don't know who you guys think I am. But that's one of those things where it's people will ask me on the reg of hey, can you send me some plants? And it's dude, I am not going to the post office first off to go get boxes, to get packing materials. Then I'm going to go take plants out. Then I send you plants. Now 20 other people want plants. And how fast do you guys think I can grow plants? I don't know, but I got so it was like, hey, so one of those properties I sent you earlier today.
Yeah.
Um,
I got
like,
one, I think.
what's that? Oh, don't. Yeah, I sent you one.
Okay.
But keep it vague. But one of the things that was with
It
that
was a
place
house. You guys,
is
it was a house.
yeah, it has a 1,000 square foot shop.
Yeah.
For a fish room, right? And right now, you've been to my fish room. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know, 100 square feet or something like that. I don't know. I'd have to go measure it. I mean, it might
one
be
of
like
those things where
120 square feet. It's like a bedroom. It's like a small bedroom.
like a tiny bit. Like you walk in and you have to like shuffle sideways in order to get in, and
Right. Like, oh, let me move that
well,
stuff
maybe
out of
that's
the way.
just me.
Oh,
I don't know.
like, hey, there's a garbage can in here. It's crowded. Yeah. You're like, okay. So, it's one of those things, but like, but 1,000 square feet would like completely change like all of the stuff that I could be doing. It's like there is a possibility that I might be able to start producing plants so that people could buy them, and I could just give them to Aquarium Co-op, and you guys could just buy them from there.
Yeah.
But right now it's like it's not even possible. Like you've been in my fish room, it's like it's not a possibility to be like I'm producing enough shrimp for everybody.
Right.
Like, nope, that's not possible.
Yeah. Like I feel like I have enough red shrimp for everybody.
Yeah, but as soon as you end up like, I mean, the problem is like as soon as you hit the internet and you get 100 orders or something, it's like, wait, what? No, I don't. Like I can't do that. I don't know what's happening right now.
Right. And that's the thing is I mainly just sell to stores. So it's like, there'll be like some store wants 50 and I'm like, all right, sure. And be like 2 scoops of shrimp.
Right. Although I did realize like I was doing some video content for the Aquarium Co-op the other day. On the store side of things, and I was thinking about it and I was like, well, I should probably do some videos on some other stores because I have a bunch of content for one of the stores down in Oregon that I need to go down and get the last part. But COVID has ruined this. COVID has ruined that video.
Right.
And so I was thinking like, oh, there's some local stores. And then I saw a thing from Redfish, Bluefish, One Fish, Two Fish, whatever they're called up there. And I was like, hey, wait, Alyssa knows them.
I do.
Maybe we should all like do a trek up there and make a video or something. That would probably be kind of fun at some point.
That would be fun.
Well, you know them.
Jason's he's a really nice guy.
Like, I think I've met him. I think I've met him a couple times, but no, I wouldn't say like I could even recognize him in a crowd. I don't know.
He's a really nice guy, and he's very enthusiastic about his store. I think he's mostly doing online stuff.
Yeah.
So he's like trying to get away from being the like people coming in and walking in and looking around and not buying stuff kind of store, because his location is like it's a place where people go for a walk.
Oh, okay. All right.
And so he gets a lot of like people going like I don't know if we have this here, but in Minnesota we have what's known as the mall walkers. That's like people who go to
we
the
have
mall. That. Okay.
Yeah, we have that.
Yeah. And so he's basically got those kinds of people, only it's like a directly outside door. I don't know. It's weird. So people go in and they look around and they think it's cool, and then they walk away and they don't buy anything. And he's like, why am I even, open to people coming in? I could just have an online only store.
Right.
But yeah, he's like, if you, contact me, then I'll open up and come in and do
Oh,
things.
I forgot to give a shout out to Dennis, Big D Smoke, for a $25 super chat, man. Thanks, dude. I really appreciate it, my guy. I really do.
Yeah,
I
he's
forgot to say something, but
funding the show today is what he's
funding
doing.
the show, dude. Yep. And like, my big rant earlier, like a lot of it does a lot of it does tie back to the fact that like I feel like I've been working on this for a really long time. And I have to admit that I regularly am getting increasingly frustrated by like just the stupid crap that I've dealt with for a long time of going like, well, let me look at the bank account. Let me see what's going on. Oh, I got to buy another microphone. Oh, crap. It's $300. All right. That puts us back. Blah, blah, blah. Right.
Yeah.
And it does get like, it gets really frustrating of like trying to deal with other people. And I feel like I've tried to make that like patently obvious that like it's unique that you show up, right? Like that the normal thing is that people go like, yeah, I definitely want to do that, and then they just F off for the next 6 months, right? They're just gone, and then on top of the fact of going like, I don't know. I'm just getting frustrated. Cowboy Bebop was a friggin' disaster, and it's already been canceled. One of my favorite shows of all time. They made the live action version of it, and they go, oh, well, it cost too much money to make it. People didn't like it. And it's like, because you ruined the story, man. Like, no one cared about the outfits. No one cared about the casting. No one cared about any of that stuff. Everyone would accept the basic fact of the matter that, like, John Cho is older than the main character. Okay, fine. You had to find an actor who was older. Okay. Who cares? But you changed the character. You rewrote the character into something else, and you named it Cowboy Bebop. And that's the exact same thing that's happening with the Wheel of Time right now. And I'm going to be extraordinarily frustrated when it gets canceled because it is terrible. They've rewritten all of the characters in that show. And then I go, they spent $10 million an episode on this, the Wheel of Time. And I'm like, at the very least, what you could have done is not rewrite all of the content, and then everyone's going to stand around and act like, oh, we got canceled. Oh, we got canceled because I don't know, people didn't like us. And it's like, no, it's because you've rewritten all of the characters. And so I guess like a part of what I'm upset about is that I feel like I've been working on something for a really long time. I've put out a ton of crap, but I've also been trying to do it on a damn shoestring budget, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I don't know. It's just, I feel like I'm overly frustrated about the whole thing, and I just might as well vent. Because, like, what else is there to do at this point? Like, I just don't even know what else to do other than just be like, I'm going to vent about it. And at least I'll just feel chill about it for a little while until I get frustrated again. I don't know.
That's true. That is a very good point.
Yeah, I don't know. And I don't know if anybody will like it, but at least I'll just feel okay for a day or two, and then be like, all right, well, this still sucks. Which I would admit, I know that you're frustrated too. Are you frustrated? I'm frustrated.
I have my frustrations.
It's true.
They're different from yours, I think. But
my God, Alyssa, we're supposed to have the exact same frustrations. It's supposed to be exactly the same. It's like,
that's true. We can't be friends.
What are we like? Two different people?
We can't be friends if it's not like the same exact thing. We have to be twins in all the things.
Twins in all aspects, forever.
Otherwise, we're
Forever.
fighting
Otherwise, we can't be friends.
immediately fighting, and just we're gonna talk smack about each other to our other friends, and yes, um,
Trish.
yeah. No, for me, it's more just like there's things that I want to do, and I can't because there's a pandemic. And every time I feel like things are starting to get back to some sense of almost normalcy, like, oh, I got my third COVID booster. Yay, I can go and do this and that. I can start doing, I can go to the dentist. I can, you
Yeah.
know, I can go to the doctor. I've got jury duty at the end of January, blah, blah, blah. It'll be fine. Maybe we'll go to the movies. And then suddenly it's like, oh, no, actually, if this happens, then you have to cancel all this stuff. And then,
Right.
and I'm like, oh, okay. I guess it's not close to back to normal at all.
I guess we can't be doing that. I guess that's all canceled, right? Yeah. Okay.
Right. And so
Damn it.
now at home, we're like, Justin and I are like, so should we put the guest bed in the upstairs portion of the house so that if one of us gets COVID, you know, the other one or whatever can go and live like a segregated life in the house until the COVID is over with? So we don't spread it to each other, or
well,
what?
You know what's crazy about that? Vicky was like, well, I guess maybe she's like, well, maybe you should stay in the trailer, you know, because she'd already been with Olivia.
Right.
And I'm like, so I'm going to go live in the trailer so you guys can be sick together or something? Like, F that. I'm going to be sick with you then. You know, and I mean, I guess technically it is the right thing to do to not get more people sick. But, like, my whole point was I was like, well, I'm already been exposed to both of y'all. So if I'm going to get sick, I'm already going to, you know. So,
Right. Right. And then, like, for Justin and I, like, the upstairs in our house is cold. It just is. We need new insulation and we need new windows.
Right.
And it's just freaking cold up in the upstairs part of the house.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so whoever is sick is going to sleep on the uncomfortable guest bed in the cold part of the house?
In the cold
part? How
part?
is that going to aid us getting better?
It's not going to help. It's not going to help.
No. It's just going to make people sick.
So Vorera says, yeah, it looks haphazardly put together on the Wheel of Time. I don't know if you've been watching the Wheel of Time yet, but it is extraordinarily haphazardly put together. The production team has had every excuse that doesn't make any sense. Vorera says, if you say it's bad, then the books must be really good, because they're saying they've been enjoying it despite the sense of shallowish characters and sometimes cheesy dialogue. It's like, the cheesy dialogue is not from the books. It's from the people that wrote this show. The characters are shallow because they refuse to do character development that is in the books. They've recreated all of the characters from the books into some other character that's not in the books. So a good example would be in the Wheel of Time, the books, all of the kids are about 20 years old. So Rand, Perrin, Egwene, and Matt are all about 20 years old, maybe 19, 20, right around there, where in the town that they live in, they are basically becoming adults, right?
Right.
It's not so much that they aren't full-grown-ish or whatever. It's the point where all of the other adults, the parents in the town, would consider you to be moving into adulthood. You're going to become responsible. That's why at the beginning, if you've only seen the show, they throw her off the cliff and she falls into the river and then is somehow becomes a woman at that point. That doesn't happen in the books. The women's circle is the female side of the people that run the town, and they go off and establish that she has become a full-grown woman, and then she can braid her hair. So all that weird rock ceremony, throwing her into the river, all that crap is not in the book. It's only in the TV show. It's completely invented only for the TV show. It's not from the books. So, it's stuff like that, which is why the characters are super shallow and don't make any sense in the TV show, is because they have completely taken the story and changed it into some other thing that doesn't make any sense. Like a good example, Lan, like her warder, that is Moiraine's warder, the Aes Sedai. Like, he's just a gibbering idiot in the TV show. Like, he's just walking around. He's talking to people. He's got family. He's got all this, like, crazy stuff. None of that stuff exists in the books. Lan is essentially a man made out of stone. Like, that is his character. On purpose, because it is a long story, and you do find out about Lan later in the books. It's not exposed right at the beginning, because that's not where he's at in his life. Where he's at in his life right now is he is a stone-faced stone of a man whose job is to stab things with a sword aggressively if they try to kill the Aes Sedai who he is protecting. That is all his job is to keep her safe. That's it. Period. End of story. And in the TV show, they're just a bunch of drunk buffoons hanging out at a fire and, and the thing is, if you want to understand who a warder is in that world, a parallel in our world would be like SEAL Team 6. It would be like the Green Berets, like the guys who are career military dudes, and they are on a mission, right? It's not that they're back at base. Maybe they got the weekend off or something like that. Soldiers will generally get a little out of hand when they're back home and stuff like that. But when you're in the middle of a mission, out being deployed, that's how warders would act. They wouldn't be just getting drunk while they're out on the road, right? That's just it's just so bizarre how stupid this show has like ruined all of the characters. And why? I don't know why. Now, if I was a super conservative guy, I'd go like the woke agenda. Now, me being not a brainwashed conservative maniac, I would say I don't think it's the woke agenda. I think it's the writers on the team decided to say that won't appeal on screen. But it's really kind of hard to start questioning like whether or not it is the woke agenda, because they've introduced a bunch of like lesbian relationships that aren't in the books. And put them in the forefront and put them like right at the beginning. Like right at the beginning of this last episode that came out, it's like two ladies kissing romantically right at the intro, like, but why are they kissing right now? Does this have anything to do with the story? And in fact, no, not really. It doesn't have anything to do with the story. And you're like, why is that the opener? It's just bizarro stuff that just doesn't make any sense to me. And if anybody watched the episode last night, the very opening introduction, the very opening scene in last night's episode that came out, and trigger warning to anybody out there that might be freaked out. One of the very opening sequence is a pregnant lady who is fighting in a battle, gives birth on the battlefield, and ends up dying. So, but that character is an Aiel, and in the TV show, she's fighting. She's got a veil up over her face. She's fighting. She fends off the attackers. Then she takes her veil off. And then some other attackers show up and she fends them off. Now, the Aiel in the books would rather themselves just be killed than fight back without the veil up. It is their religious, like, it's like if you took all of the levity of every single religion in the world that we live in now and combine it into one thing and then give it to them, like, it would be all of that. You'd be committing the biggest sin ever to fight somebody without your veil on. And it is displayed multiple times in the book series that the Aiel will not fight somebody without a veil over their face. And yet, there it is right there in the beginning. There it is right there in the beginning of an episode of the show where you completely ruin a whole society that's in the books that goes into extraordinary detail of what that society is. They just took it and they threw it right in the garbage because they don't care. Like, and it's bizarre to me. It's very bizarre. And I feel like if the writer was still alive, he would be suing them right now. Like, I mean, I feel like if Robert Jordan was still alive, I mean, if I was the author, I would be suing them right now. Like, I would be like, what are you doing? Like, you bought the rights to tell the story. You're not telling the story. Like, I mean, even if it was only like a performative lawsuit, like, I would be suing them, you know? Yeah. It's like,
just to say something, just to tell people, like, hey, I don't agree.
Right. Yeah, and Boris says, but how will you see the actor's face? We paid for it. But it's like, it's actually, so the thing is that the Amazon showrunners, the people that are doing the show, they keep saying, well, we didn't have money to do this. We didn't have money to do that. And it's like, but you didn't need to pay for an actor's face. You could have paid a stunt woman to just play that part with a veil over their face, and it wouldn't have mattered who it was. That's the point. The point is, it would have actually been cheaper to have them have their veil on the whole time, because it wouldn't have mattered who it was. Their face would be covered. You could have them just karate kicking everybody from here to sundown, and you could have actually not have worried about applying the acting credit to somebody, because they could have just been doing stunts and stuff. And then you could have had them continue to work on the show later as a different Aiel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and have them do acting later if you want them to do acting later. And you wouldn't have spoiled that person. It's like they cut out one of my favorite characters from the books, and I'll go on record to say this. They cut out Elias Machera, who is one of, if not my favorite character from the books. They completely cut him out. He's not in this show at all. At all. Not at all. He's not in there at all. And their claim is, we couldn't do that because it would have cost too much money to do those extra shoots. Now, every single part with Elias Machera is him sitting by a campfire talking to them, and then them walking through the woods, and them meeting up with the Tinkers, which they meet up with the Tinkers in the TV show. So you literally would have just had one other person in the part of the TV show that they already made. And they're just like, well, we couldn't afford it. We couldn't afford that. And it's like, you couldn't afford an actor to be in a TV show? Like, what are you talking about? Right? Meanwhile, they've added in all this like other crap that's not in the books at all, and it's in there. Like, I don't know if Alyssa, have you watched the show at all? Oh no, I lost Alyssa. She left. She's
no, I
silent.
didn't. I'm back.
No, I don't know if you've watched the show at all, but like, there's a big part in the show where the warder Lan. There's this big death ceremony thing that's not in the books at all. It's not even in the books. They put that into the show. And why did you shoot all of those scenes then? Like, if you couldn't, like, to me, Elias Machera is one of the more important, like, lore characters in the book. he explains a lot of stuff to them in a very much like dialogue way. Like he's just there talking to the kids and letting them know like some of the stuff and da da da. And you're like, but it's right there in the book, and you just decided to not do it for whatever weird personal reasons. It's like, I guess it's just like, oh, I don't like that guy, you know. And it's just bonkers because, like, regular guy, he says it sounds like they crafted a great show for people who don't read. And that's the thing, is like, I guess some people think it's a great show, but I have personally asked people, what's the name of that person right there? And they're like, I don't know. And it's like, that's the main character. What's the name of that person right there? I don't know. That's one of the other main characters. They don't even know the name of the characters because there's no depth of explaining like who any of the main characters are. Which is like,
or a reason why they should care.
Yeah, like why should you care? Like if that person's head gets chopped off right now, you didn't even know their name. And like, how much of a bummer is it for you? Like, oh, drag, that guy got speared. That guy, I didn't even know that guy's name. I think his name was Regular Guy 1, you know, in the show. And you're like,
Wait, isn't Regular Guy one of the people on YouTube?
Yeah, he's in our
there
chat.
He is.
Yeah.
Oh no, Regular Guy 1 got his head chopped off.
Right. Yeah. So Voraris says, yeah, the funeral felt kind of forced. We barely knew the other character who died. That's right, because Stepan is the guy who died, is the warder, right? Of a character who actually, she dies in the books 20 years before when it happens in the TV show. It's like, why is she even there? Why are these people even here? They're not supposed to be here at all. So the Aes Sedai that dies in the TV show and her warder, they die like 20 years before in the books. Before they die in the TV show. So they literally are just like, yeah, I don't know, we're just going to take people from history. It's like if I wrote a contemporary story right now and then just added Abraham Lincoln in, you know, it was like, dude, Abe Lincoln was here, bros, and then he died. Are you guys sad? And be like, why did you write Abraham Lincoln into modern day? And he'd be like, just because I felt like, like he wears a top hat, G, and we are sponsored by a top hat company, you know, like what the fuck, like why? Like, why did you do that? Oh, we couldn't afford anything else. Wait, what? Like, we couldn't afford it. We couldn't afford not to. Like, oh. Okay. It's bizarre. But, yeah. Yeah, it's very weird, man. It's very weird. But I did want to bring up the point. I feel like I didn't mention it today. If anybody out there's like super wealthy and you want to fund me making a show, feel free to do it at any time. Just hit me up. I got email deets all over the place. You can just email me a check. You know. Yeah, so Vera says Egwene, Rand, Matt, Wolf Guy, and the powerful healer. Can't remember their names. Yep. Then that's like the take right there. Is that like, so you remember 3 of the characters, Egwene, Matt, and Rand. Which is great. Now you got Wolf Guy, whose name is Perrin, and the powerful healer, whose name is Nynaeve, who is a powerful healer in the books, but this TV show has like completely ruined the way that magic works in the books. And like I said, the books are 4 million words with like deep explanations of all of the stuff that goes on. And it's like, so my point is that they could go like, well, we didn't really know how that worked or whatever, and we felt like we just wanted to speed it up or duh. And you're like, it's written down over here in the damn book. What are you talking about? You didn't know what to do, you know, or whatever.
They would have to read.
Yeah, it's just, that's the super weird part. It's like, I could understand if you were trying to make a Winnie the Pooh show or something, and you're like, there's not a lot of whole content here that tells us really like what's up with Winnie the Pooh. So we just kind of went a little off the rails and went a little wild, right? Okay, but that's not what's going on with the Wheel of Time. Like, it's all written down, you know. So, oh. Yeah, Vora says, damn, there's at least a second season confirmed. Yes, they're filming another second season already, mainly because they spent so much money on it that they're just going to continue filming. But my guess is that after season 2, it's probably going to get canceled, and it'll be seen as a big failure, and they'll never be able to... No one will ever be able to get funding to be able to make it a good version of it. And my example of that would be Dune. You guys know that I love Dune. I love it. I love it. I love Dune. Great book. Great books. It took like 40 years for them to remake the Dune movie into something that resembles the book. 40 years from now, I'm going to be so old I won't even care about anything. I'll probably be pooping my pants by then, and I won't care. Anything that's going on. So if it takes another 40 years for them to make the Wheel of Time, I'm going to be dead probably by the time they ever get around to putting that out, and that upsets me. That makes me mad, you know? So... yeah.
Well, you'd only be 81.
Though, I mean, if it's exactly 40 years, sure.
You might not be incontinent.
I'm going to be incontinent. I'm just going to be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing.
No. It depends.
Yeah. But yeah, anyhow, it's 3:40 now, and I gotta build some stuff, hopefully trying to make some money. But yep. All right, Alyssa, I love you. Have a good day. Everyone in the chat, I love you guys too. We only have 68 members now. It's not nice anymore, so bummer.
Well, it's just a little less than nice.
It's a little less than nice. Yep. So, yeah. All right.
All right, take care. Stay healthy.
You be quiet. You be quiet, you.